Hi everyone, my name is Katrina Schilling and I am the naturopath here at Bunmark Health. And today for the Let's Talk series, I'm going to be talking to Jess White, who will be telling us about her experiences and the benefits of Ayanga Yoga. So hi Jess.
Hey Katie, how's it going?
Very good, very good.
That's good.
So why don't you start by telling us a little bit
Yeah,
about yourself and
sure.
the practice of Iyengar Yoga and how you got into it.
Yeah, cool. I guess I came to yoga as a teenager. I just happened to go along to an Iyengar yoga class as a young teenager with a friend and her mum. And immediately I thought, oh my goodness, what is this? I love this so much. It really, having had a dance background, it really aligned for me. And then I spent a lot of my 20s living away from the hills, traveling, trying lots of different forms of yoga. And yeah, I was just always drawn back to Iyengar yoga.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good.
Mhm.
And so you've just mentioned that you tried a few different forms because there are
Sure.
different types of yoga, is that right?
Yeah, so many different styles. And I think it's a nice thing to, yeah, practice and try different styles and find one that works well for you. I think I was really drawn to Iyengar yoga because there's a lot of precise knowledge about the alignment of the body.
Yeah.
And also such deep knowledge about the effect that different poses or asanas have on the body and the mind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. That's super interesting. And, there is a lot of association with yoga and then the poses,
Mm-hmm.
as people might know it from, seeing a little bit here and there on YouTube or, doing a class at your local yoga place. But
Mm-hmm.
was there any particular, I'm going to throw this question in. I know we haven't spoken about it, but is there any particular type of poses? So I know, they can be very heart opening or more energy reserving type poses. Is there anything in
Mm-hmm.
particular that at the start of your journey, I guess, into Iyengar Yoga, was there anything that really caught your attention that you really?
Great question. I think so. We're generally like working through, standing poses, forward bends, back bends, restorative, miscellaneous, balanced poses. And I think what I really enjoyed about Iyengar yoga was the feeling of how it left me and this sense of coming back to some neutrality after the practice.
Okay.
Yeah, so being, challenged
Yep.
throughout the class and then coming to a sense of balance and clarity towards the end of the class.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice. And that's possibly both a physical challenge and a mental or psychological, emotional, or is it all physical?
Yeah. I guess it depends on the different days,
Yeah.
what's happened in your world for that day.
Yeah.
But I think this is another reason why I'm so drawn to yoga and why, yeah, I practice it every day. Is I really like that time of being, a lot of our work requires us to be quite busy in our minds.
Yeah.
And I really love that feeling of, yeah, just getting out of my mind and really feeling into my body.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. I can definitely empathize with that also. And getting out of
Mm.
a busy mind. If you're somebody that is in your mind a lot for whatever reason, that overthinking, getting into the physical body is one of the many amazing benefits of something like yoga. So who can practice Iyengar yoga? So we're talking Ayanga specifically today. Um,
Sure.
So can you tell us a little bit about if there are any issues with safety, and if so, why is that, and what do we do to adapt, and who can practice?
Yeah, for sure. I think if you've got a body, a mind and a breath, you can practice. So yoga is for everyone. Um, Iyengar Yoga is also really well known for its use of props,
Mm-hmm.
and so allowing, everyone in the class, depending on what ailment or injury people might be working with, to still access all the pose, and whether they have a limitation or not, through the use of props. And I think that's something really magical about that. People don't need to miss out just because of an injury or an ailment.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Yeah. What?
Yeah, and so just to follow on from that, in Pune, where Iyengar Yoga is from, there's always a therapy class that runs as well, and the same, for our local yoga studio up in Stirling as well. Um, you know, Teachers are skilled to work with people in the class, but say I know that there's people working with MS, they might choose to come to a therapy class, or to get some extra support.
Yeah, awesome. That's great. Good to know. So it's not, all about, it's definitely not about just physical fitness and working out. And it's like you said earlier, more there's a deep connection with alignment and and some skill and technique. But everybody is, welcome. Like you said, if you've got a mind and a body and a breath, then you can do it. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, and I really do genuinely believe that anyone could benefit from a yoga practice.
Yeah,
Mm.
cool. So I guess, oh no, so sorry, what I was just going to ask when you mentioned props, what kind of props are we talking here? Are they anything elaborate, or just to get an image in someone's mind?
Yeah, sure. So most common props we're working with is a mat,
Yep.
A bolster, and a blanket and a belt,
Yep.
and 2 blocks. But I mean, there was talk of, with Mr. Iyengar, how he used to work with people right back in the early days. If he could see someone couldn't quite access a pose, but knew that if he just put something there, maybe it was a book, or I don't know, he was really clever, maybe a rock or something, then it would help the person come to the pose.
Yeah.
So there's a level of creativity and looking at people's bodies and the shape of their bodies and what's going to be beneficial.
Yeah. So there is like quite that emphasis on adapting. So really, it really is about the fact that anyone can do it, because you can adapt the technique or adapt the process.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's lots of variations for, one technical pose. Yeah.
So what is the kind of or the kind of training that someone does to become an Ayanga teacher, like yourself?
Sure. Yeah, so Iyengar Yoga has an association here in Australia, and it requires you to train for 2 years underneath a qualified teacher. They need to be at a certain level, and as well have so many hours observing that teacher teach, so assisting them, as well as doing anatomy training, and also looking into the philosophy behind yoga too. So we've also been looking at things like the sutras of Patanjali, which I find incredibly fascinating and interesting.
Cool.
And then there's like a an assessment process that goes for over a weekend.
So you just mentioned anatomy, which is something I'm extremely interested in as a naturopath. But it's generally known that there are some asanas in yoga that can benefit digestion. So
Mm.
whether it's digestion or something else, so I might, in my mind, I think sometimes about lymphatic flow because of moving the body in general. Would there be anything you can speak to about that, or about digestion and yoga in general, or any particular poses or practice?
Yeah, sure. I guess it depends what's going on for the individual, whether someone's having, some concerns around maybe constipation, or maybe it's diarrhea, and different asanas would be recommended for, depending what's going on for the person. For sure, like you mentioned, getting someone up and moving is always good, maybe for a sluggish bowel. So, lots of standing poses, sun salutations, but also twists have a really great effect on the whole organic body, and kind of almost like hitting a restart button.
Okay.
Things happen. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool. Because there's, a lot of, is it just that physical compression of the organs that the twists are helpful for in terms of digestion? So in my mind, that physical twisting of the bowel and things like that are going to help that mechanical digestion. That's how it is in my mind, without knowing all the details about yoga. But
yeah, this is my understanding too, and perhaps the release of particular hormones and enzymes, which I don't have my head around completely.
Yeah, cool. So I guess there's that physical body that we're talking about, like that specifically, physically moving in a particular way that might have certain health benefits to, for example, digestion. What about the mind? So it's more that yoga is more than just, like we've said, physical body and poses and things like that. There's a lot to do with the mind and the emotions. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I came across this really beautiful thing written by Ayanga earlier, which maybe should I read it out? It's really nice and just kind of talks to that really beautifully. So this is specifically on mind and emotions. And he says, the tensions of daily life have an impact of our emotions. And I totally, resonate with that for sure. In yogic science, the secretions of the hormonal system are believed to influence the mind and the nervous system. Strong emotions are linked to hormonal imbalances, which leave us vulnerable to infection and ill health. And then he goes on to share some different asana sequences that work on the endocrine glands and the sympathetic and central nervous systems to pacify the nerves, reduce the respiratory rate, and calm a stressed body and mind. So pretty cool that, it can have such a wonderful effect. I always just come back to, if, maybe one morning I wake up and I think, oh, maybe I'll just go and have breakfast without skipping on my practice. I just always think, I just know that, or maybe in the earlier days when I was just attending 1 or 2 classes per week with my teacher before I had my daily practice, the thing that would always make me get there is just the feeling of how I feel post a practice. Like a sense of coming to neutrality in your body, but also a crispness in your mind, and a sense of clarity, which I think is really helpful. And maybe in the earlier days when I was a first year teacher, and that was pretty overwhelming and stressful, but going to the yoga class for sure really helped me kind of switch out of that mode and had a real calming effect on my mind and my emotions. Really powerful stuff.
So powerful. And definitely that's something I noticed with my small amount of yoga practice as well, is that the sense of clarity, like you just said, afterwards, which flows on to the rest of the day and maybe even the rest of your week if you do one class on a Monday, which is what I was doing with you. And yeah, it makes such a difference. And then we, of course, know, and I talk about this to my clients all the time, that your mind and your emotions are absolutely connected to your physical body and the things that follow in your physical body. So there's no escaping that mind-body connection. So when you get benefits from yoga in your mind at minimum, then there are flow-on effects in your physical body and your health and all of that.
And I think it's hard in yoga to speak about, you know, the physical or just the mind separately, because it is such a holistic practice in the whole world. Yoga, what am I trying to say? Word yoga means to unite.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I like that holistic approach.
Yeah.
That everything is having an effect on other things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Don't have to tell me twice about the holistic approach. Yeah. Okay, so is there anything I missed? So I guess we did talk about the fact that anyone with a body and a mind, but I'm just going to skip back to that for a sec, because what about people who are pregnant or maybe wanting to conceive in the near future? Are there any restrictions on Iyengar Yoga specifically on those people?
Yeah, no, and I mean, also as well, in our practice, we have a slightly give modifications for people who are menstruating as well. There's some asanas that are not okay, like inversions for someone that is menstruating. So there's lots of knowledge and guidelines around for someone who is pregnant or is trying to conceive, maybe having some difficulty conceiving. There's lots of suggestions. So yeah, anyone can do yoga. And there's always it's always good to check in with your teacher and let them know what's going on with you, whether it be injury or that you're pregnant or you're menstruating at the start of the class, so your teacher can modify the practice and the sequence for you, so it's appropriate.
Yeah, awesome. And like many physical exercise classes or any groups that you're doing, it's good to tell the instructor or whoever's supervising or taking care of you letting them know if you do have injuries and all of that. So it's pretty standard. But
practice, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Okay. I think I've delved into all of the types of questions I wanted to ask you. So was there anything else that you specifically feel is special to you about Ayanga? So I kind of want to make sure people understand your approach in a way. You've talked about how you came to yoga and the benefits that you enjoy. And are you, just to cap that, are you providing classes at the moment? It's a funny time. I know you're not doing the physical group classes where you were. What's on offer now?
Yeah, cool. So your first question of why I'm so drawn to this particular form of yoga is, I think I really like the lineage of it, that Iyengar practiced every day and passed on, and was always constantly experimenting within his own body and knowing it before passing it on, and also learning from amazing teachers and Patanjali himself. And I practiced yoga in India, but unfortunately not with him or his daughter Geeta. But I feel so lucky that my teacher and her teacher have both spent a lot of time working with Ayanga and Geeta, his daughter. So there's a real sense of lineage and connection back to the source. My teacher Stephanie Hansen at Hills Yoga School and her teacher Pixie Lilas, they yeah, both just have such incredible knowledge because of their practice. They're practicing every day and always experimenting and always learning new things.
Yeah.
And I think that's exciting, and I like that. I love learning, so it's never going to finish.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's why I'm drawn to it.
Yeah.
And in terms of classes on offer at the moment, on the Hills Yoga website at the moment, there's 3 free classes
Okay.
offered by myself, Sam, and Steph, just to give people a little bit of a taste about what online yoga might look like for the next little while we can't practice in the studio. Just so it's an important time for people to keep their practice up.
Yeah.
And then if that's for people working online, there's options there. I'm looking at releasing 1 online class per week.
Cool.
Slowly learning the best way to set up the camera and the video in my quite small apartment. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But that's via Hills Yoga School. That's the website that people.
Yeah.
Cool.
Absolutely. And they've got a good Instagram page as well, which people might be interested in following along that way and getting some news and information. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, nice way to keep in contact. And it's a really nice community as well. When I was introduced to all the different practitioners along my journey with Hills Yoga over the last few years, it's always nice to, all the instructors are incredible, like you said, with that level of skill and the amount of knowledge. And I also really love that the specifics of Ayanga being really like thinking about things in a minute and deep alignment way. I'm really into that. So rather than just rushing through a physical practice, it really being about technique, and I love that. Anyway, that's a tangent from myself. The last thing I wanted to ask you, if people wanted to try the practice, is how much practice do you think someone needs to do in order to get any benefits at all?
Yeah, good question. I think anything. I know I started with just going once a week.
Yeah.
And now I practice every day, sometimes twice a day. I think any benefit.
Exactly. Yeah.
any practice is going to be beneficial for sure. Yeah.
And if you're starting from nothing, sometimes it's nice to just introduce slowly anyway, isn't it? To just get your body into this new thing, rather than.
Or even just noticing really little things about, how you might bear weight on your feet. And then, you might be at the dishes, at the sink washing dishes and be, I'm actually really sunk into my left hip, and I bear a lot more weight into my left foot, and that's maybe why my right shoulder, so you start to, notice those things.
Cool. And that's a lot about being mindful. I won't talk too much now about mindfulness. You know how much I love meditation. But it's so one of the coolest things I think about yoga, and a lot of different types of physical activity, really, and even getting massage, is that you become much more in tune with your body, and therefore maybe then you start to notice any ailments or misalignments or just things that might lead to issues, or things that have already led to issues but you've not noticed them. So just becoming more mindful of your physical body and of your mind as well, noticing what thoughts are there. But that mindfulness does come from the East, which is a similar lineage.
So I really agree. It's such it's so nice to be able to really tune in and to start to notice slight changes in your body and mind, and things are going to change because every day does look a little bit different, and to start to notice some of those changes and what's going to make positive effect and changes.
Yeah,
really
cool.
exciting.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, that's really great. Thanks so much, Jess. It's nice to hear you talk about something that you love so much. And I know that you love it so much because I've been in your classes and you're a fantastic teacher. And obviously, as more than just a yoga teacher, teaching other people, you've got that comes really naturally. So if you, for anyone that's listening, a class with Jess won't go astray. It's really fantastic. So
thank you, Katie. That's kind.
yeah, of course. I mean that very honestly. And we've just established that anyone can do it. Any amount is helpful, and a good opportunity to listen to your body. And now is a good time just like any other time is a good time really to look after your health, look after your body, and to have a little bit of a routine at least to care for your mind and your well-being. Okay, well, I think that might be it for this video series on Let's Talk. It's been a pleasure to have you, and I will put some links to Hills Yoga and your classes, so anyone who wants to join in can do that via those links. If you have any
online for the minute, and then hopefully back in the studio so soon. And I encourage people to have a look at the photos of the studio because it is just the most beautiful space.
It's incredible.
I can't wait to be back there.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. I love looking out that huge glass window when you practice with the light coming through, depending on what time of day.
Trees. Yeah. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you again. And maybe if anyone has any specific areas or questions they would like Jess to talk about or questions to answer, in my mind already I've got questions popping up about menstruation, and like you mentioned, so just thinking, anyway, that's for another time. My mind's already started thinking about it.
That's exciting. Always more to learn, huh?
Yeah, right. Okay, well, I'm going to sign off here, and thanks everyone for joining us. Check out the other video if you'd like to on the Let's Talk series. Previously I've spoken to Camille, who has endometriosis. She has had endometriosis for a really long time, and we talk about all the practical aspects of that, what it's like living with endo, what it's like navigating the medical system, and how she came about the things that worked for her, and we talk about what works for her, and not that the same thing works for everybody, but it's really interesting to hear the perspective from somebody who has been down many avenues and learnt a lot about her body and endo. All right, so that's it for today. Enjoy your day. See you soon.
Bye.